Hello everybody, and welcome. We are live. That's my water glass. So yeah, welcome to the reglow space. Welcome to the reglow channel. And here we've got, oh, maybe if I tilt it upwards you can see me. So, yes, welcome to the reglow space. And we're going to be entering into a sewing ritual together. And so, first thing to just get us grounded and oriented in our spaces is to acknowledge the land that we're on. If we're on, acknowledge the indigenous land that we occupy. And so, standing on this land with the sky above and the sea that surrounds us, we have our imagination flag. And we're going to raise our imagination flag. And we're going to ask that our ancestors, all of our healed ancestors, come and join us in this space. And we call on the elements of fire, air, water, and earth, and Akasha to also come into this space and to guide us through the process of transformation as we transform through our stitches, transform through our cuts, and all of the motions that we make, and transform through our own internal emotions and processes. And yeah, so in this space, in this realm of the imagination, with our imagination flag lifted, it's holding a space for the realm of dreams, the realm of alpha, theta, what is the deeper brain waves, the slower elongated brain waves. It's a space for that consciousness to be present with us. And let's see. Oh yeah, it is delta. So in this space, in the space of our dreams, in the space of our interconnectivity, is where we want to create from, so that we're pulling that through the ethers and then bringing that into what we're creating. And we've been working on this piece. I'm going to go into the mirror to show you what we've been working on. Okay, so you can kind of see what's happening. And so we put this on. This is the piece, Gestating Narratives. It's a two-piece outfit. This is the top piece that goes along with it. And then underneath I have on my long underwears, which is not a part of this, but it's what we have here. And we got to a place with our stitches yesterday where we really needed to just put the garment on in order to think about what is happening, because there's a lot of twisted situations happening. And another thing that I want to mention as we're in this space is that we are, as we speak and as we vocalize, we're going to be narrating what we're doing, and it can also serve as an analogy or metaphor for a reflection for you in your life as well. And I also welcome you to tune into the comments and to write there. And doing that, it's actually increasing the value, because if you become a part, oh, you can see, I don't know what you see, as we become a part of this interwoven tapestry together, we're increasing the value of this piece. And as more people engage here in this space, and then I wonder how, if you're entering into this space also creating something, how can this process also increase the value of what you're creating? And I think this is an ideology that questions what we value and how we value things. And how can our values be a reflection of what is actually valued? And also, throughout this process, thinking about the process of creation as a performance, and not only a performance, but as just a space that we can share together. And even if that looks like you seeing me and me not seeing you, we're still in this space together, and we're still present with one another, because also in this Delta dream space, we're transcending, this dream, it exists beyond time. And so no matter when you're watching this, spirit exists beyond time. And so even if our spirits are present here, and so yeah, that presence is a way for us to recognize each other as a reflection of each other too. And so if your engagement raises the value of this, then it's like, okay, then what is this supporting? What is this whole series of gestating narratives of synthesized being? What is this supporting? And in part, it's supporting me to hold this space for you. And another part, I'm going to be donating a percentage of the proceeds, as these are wearable art pieces. And so once they sell, they're going to be infused, or it's going to be like a transparent, the process will be transparent, and it will be accessible to whoever buys this to enter into this piece. And also a percentage of that will go to supporting, I'm still figuring out what I want to donate to. I'm not sure if I need to answer that now, because perhaps it will be, I think a part of it will be going to Real Rent Duwamish, and then another part might be going to another organization. So I hope to continue doing this work and making this process accessible, and then also thinking about how is it different creating together. It's very different, but how is it different in, even if we can just name that, how it's different to share this virtual space and share the dream space in our imagination than being physically present with each other in a sewing circle or a clothing swap or something like that. And so we're just gonna keep sewing. And I put this on today because it's very twisted in the back, and I want to figure out something about that. And so, yeah. Another thing I'm reflecting on is like, what does it mean for me to be draping this on myself as a dance, and then sharing that with another person? Because it's kind of like loose and baggy. So whose body is going to feel good in this? Whose body will want to step into this once it is created, or once it's in kind of a state of finish, of being finished? And I think that is open for whoever finds resonance with this. And yeah. Whoever feels connected with this. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 more pieces that are in this collection that have been infused with a dance and some beginning of transformation, and now it's in a place of like more finished work. So okay, if we can look at this and see what's happening. One thing that's happening that I'm noticing is that it's kind of difficult to raise my arms, and I think it will be better if, I know before the shoulders were kind of pinned up like this. I think it will be better to have something scrunching these up. Okay, and then we have these back pieces. We also have the leaves. You can see the leaves. These are the leaves that are now dangling out of this pocket, coming out of the holes. And we have our pleat. Okay. And then we have if it does that? I remember we were playing around with that in one of the videos when we started this, was to wrap the sleeves around and we're going to take these pins out and see. I think it's a constant, like, it's constantly in motion. Yesterday I was feeling really hesitant to take any of this apart because I was like, but we've come so far. But if it's tangled and twisted and it needs like reworking, then I need to listen to that. And so it's kind of hitting a wall. And today, kind of knowing that we might need to let it all go. And that there's like all this material, just this upside down shirt. All this upside down shirt material. Who needs that? Maybe it wants to be tucked in or something. As it comes around, this is like live draping. Live draping in action. Almost want to cut like here to here. Cut this sleeve open. I know they say measure twice, cut once, but sometimes like we won't see it. Okay, I'm breaking tradition right now, but sometimes we won't see it. Sometimes we like literally, I wonder how much tradition can keep us locked into some sort of stagnancy. Okay. Now we've opened up all this material. And let's do the other side now. So, cutting open Oops. Okay, cutting this open. What happens now? Oh, well, we know that there's that piece coming around. Well, both sides have a piece that's joined back there, so okay. What happens now? Well, we definitely have like one side going up and one side going down of the white wings. And how much do the white wings really like want to be distorted? Like, where do they want to lay? Where do they really want to be? This one, as it's falling down, does it want to really just go down? I'm just gonna pin it like that for now. If one is extending down and then this wing maybe this wing wants to be up. I'm wondering about this part. How is that like a sleeve? Do we want like all this gathering up here? And then there's this kind of like wing. Round and round and round and round we go. Round and round we go. Round and round. Round and round. almost want to just cut this apart all the way. I say I almost want to do it as I do it. Okay, I'm getting some water. I almost want to do this thing, and so I'm just gonna do it. Okay. Ooh. What do we have here? Is it a sleeve formation? Wrapping around. Wrapping around. I'm having thoughts about like what does it mean for me to wear this again, like what I was saying earlier, what does it mean for me to wear this and then charge it with my experience and then to then sell it. And I think that that entire exchange could represent like an acknowledgement of our deep interconnectivity. And it could also, like, even if you're tuning in, you can watch what I'm doing and maybe you have your own ideas of what you want to create, you know? And so it's just kind of like learning how to play with the materials and then having a space if you want to ask questions. You can always type your questions in the chat. Okay, so now where does this want to connect to? The sleeve. Oh, I need some more safety pins. I feel like there's a lot of floppiness. I like that. I don't know if you saw what happened, but this kind of like tucked in and then falling out here, and I'm going to just kind of like pin this in place as it is tucked in, because yeah, I like it tucked in more than laying over, because I don't know, then otherwise you would see my butt crack, but maybe that's not always a bad thing. Maybe you want to see a butt crack. But I mean, the blue is going down into here, and just in case you don't want to see butt crack, what if you want to wear this without worrying about your butt crack, and you just want to not have to wear anything underneath, maybe. But then I don't know, this whole thing has kind of has like a modest feeling to it, but also what is modesty and what is like not, you know? And then okay, we're just moving things around until it feels right. And this part can like flip over like a cape, or it can come around and be like a shoulder, a nice shoulder cover. Otherwise, it's there. What's even the point of this piece? This is just a cape, I guess. I don't even want a cape. What happens if it's just like joined here? I mean, it has buttonholes. We could like button it. We could just button it. Who wants that? Who wants a button? Or we would just put one button. One button right here. Let's just pin that and see. I know I can reach. It's a blessing I have long arms. I can really reach anywhere in my back. Okay. And then this whole situation, I'm not really sure about where this back piece is hanging. I like this sleeve, like I like the top of the sleeve because it's big, and I can move, and I think it's nice to lift my arm. Maybe not nice, but when I lift my arm, you can see the wing, and I appreciate that acknowledgement. And then I'm wondering what should happen here, because yeah. Does this become like a wrist? Does this become part of my wrist, or? Maybe we don't even need this piece. On this side, buttons are facing inward, so on this side, oh right, I cut it off, which is why it's like detached, but the other side is still attached on there. So what do we want to do? Do we want to just attach it to this back seam and then like turn it into a gather or something? Gather in the back. Gather in the back and pull it in the front and spin all around until the day is done. What are you gonna do when you wear this garment? How are you gonna feel? Spinning round, spinning round. Spinning round and round. Okay. Spinning round and gathering the gather till it can be found. Gathering the gather up until all the girth is folded up. More. What more? What more? What more? What more? What more? Okay, we still have some more gathering it up. Gathering the back of my heart at the back. At the back of my heart, in the space in the back of my heart. What becomes clear? What becomes clear to you now? Becoming clear now. What's becoming clearer now? Did you find the clarity you wanted in the back? In the back. Now that, you know, and if it's too difficult for you to, if you're not able to reach your back, another option is to maybe make a mannequin from your own body, and you could probably find a YouTube video if you look up like duct tape homemade mannequin or something, where you pretty much like wrap your body, your torso and your arms, and like where the space that you want to form, you wrap it in duct tape only like with the sticky side out, and then you wrap it around with the sticky side in, and then you can cut it off of you. Make sure that you can breathe while you're wearing it, and then you can cut it off of you and then tape it back together and then like stuff it. And that's a way to make like a home form if you want to drape on something else. But this way is also like an embodied way, so maybe if you like, you could hang out with a friend maybe, and you can like pin stuff to each other, and it can become this like collaborative dance. Wouldn't that be lovely? Okay. Okay, I don't like that. I don't even know if I like that other thing that's happening, but just like, why? I don't really need this here. I kind of just want to cut it off. There we go. And then this just becomes like a little gathered sleeve thing. And then this side, we can just unpin this, because it seemed like I don't know what's gonna happen here with this material. Because it's like we have these two pieces, and what is it even doing? I'm gonna unpin this one too. There's just this like point, this like pointed thing that happened. Maybe we should stitch this all the way down. Okay. Then what happens with those parts? We want this placket on there. like that. Okay. Maybe this placket comes around like this. I don't know if it does that. There's this like big gaping area, so maybe we need to twist it. It's like when we twist or change anything, the whole thing kind of shifts around. Some parts are still kind of intact. Some might become like not fitting, but okay. Is there a buttonhole? Found a buttonhole. Is there one that's further down? Oh yeah. Okay, well, I like that. I definitely want to like round out this sleeve cap. Because when I cut it, it was just like, how can we get this off of here? Wasn't very careful. Okay. And then our long tail. Just kidding. What are we gonna do with this? Does it just like come around and become a part of the hem? Okay. Let's just get longer and longer. Wow, that's really coming around in a whole new way. And yeah, so I guess we'll just I'm wondering like what's gonna happen. What's gonna happen down here? Or maybe it won't be on this side, maybe it'll be like, maybe it'll come around. And be like this. I'm not sure, let's just hold it in place for now and then see like what happens if our other piece moves around. I like that more. We'll be gathered and okay. And then here we have a whole other situation that's not gathered. And do we want to gather it, or do we like it like this? I'm just pinning it like this because this is where we're at. And I like that. And then, do we want to join them, or do we want to leave them? We can just leave them. And then here we have like a pleat, and I'm thinking this will come over because, yeah. Because we don't want it to just hang out like a point. And now we have, there we have it, okay? What's gonna happen here? I don't know. Like down here where the collars hang. I don't know. Oh, yeah, okay, I know. They're just gonna be finished off. And they're just gonna hang like that. Okay? So now I wonder if I can just, if it will, because so far this whole thing has been able to be just like a pullover. And I wonder if that's gonna change. I'm just gonna, I wonder if this hole should be like something that you can button. I think it should. But how yet? I do not know. All right, I think we have a good enough direction to keep going, so I'm gonna take this off and we can start sewing it more. Oh, changing into the other clothes, changing it before we bring it in. down, 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 down. Ooh, 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 ooh. Oh, I'm happy that we listened to our body yesterday when we needed to just take a break before we start cutting into this again. Sometimes that's what we have to do, is like step away from something if we can. We're just kind of looking everything over now and seeing like what can we start doing? And I realized as I was taking the dress off that it's kind of hard to like, I had to like pull, or not the dress, but the garment, like I had to like loop it underneath my leg before I could pull it over my head, and that made me wonder if I should make it so that like somehow like the leg unbuttoned or something, or yeah, I think I can do that. Like there's actually a button and a buttonhole right here because it's like two collars coming together. So, and I had the collars just like stitched together. So maybe they can just come together. Ooh. 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 Na, 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 na. Hey. Ooh, 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 ooh. Ooh. Ooh, 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 ooh. Ah. Hey, hey. Hey. Okay. So there's our button. we can close up this sleeve hem. We haven't done that yet. And yeah, we can also like start this hem down at the bottom. This blue hem has quite a bit of like this whole gouged out area, and I don't really want to like take away too much material. I just want to like smooth it out. Alright, and then over here, here's the collar that was cut. And so we want to do, we're opening up over here so that we can do the hem, and then we'll know where to finish the collar, and we can like tuck it in, open it up, and then fold everything in on itself. You can see, so okay, here's the collar. We're gonna do a twice turn hem here, and then we're gonna flip these seams in on themselves, and then we'll do an edge stitch, and so that everything is just kind of like flush on the edge. And I'm gonna open this up a bit more because I think we'll need some more space to flip it in on itself. Okay. So here in this moment, and navigating through all of this, drinking water. One thing is that we know that we want to join want to join this part here. And this here. And I'm wondering, oh, we had already, did we like already unpick this placket? Or did we start to? Because this is like up here. We're going to be joining these two materials together, and the blue one is going to be gathered. And where that seam edge is where the placket with the side with the buttons on it. We remove the buttons, and now we can, I think that we had started taking the placket out. That was kind of my question I was asking myself, like, did we do that all the way, or did we stop at some point? I think we stopped. And then if we go all the way down, we reach the collar. And I'm not sure if we want to so this will all be like gathered into here, but there's a collar like up here, so you know, if I take, here's the collar. If we take the placket out, it's enclosed in the collar, so maybe we don't take the placket out and maybe we just gather it in. And then before we gather it in, then we would need to re-stitch the placket down. Okay, so what about the other side? The other side doesn't even reach the placket because this is the part that's going to unbutton between the legs and then be able to button back up. So before we go over to the machine, I just want to make sure we know all these different seams that need to be done, and that there isn't, like, maybe there's some unpicking we need to do before we get to that part, or maybe we just start with where we're at. But we also have this whole seam that we can twice turn. Yeah, there is this like whole shoulder seam situation where I put the pin in there to gather it up, and then now I'm wondering, like, what is that connected to? Because it's gathered up to be from here to here is like this wide from the end of my finger to here, this length. That's like the inside of my knuckle, that bottom of the inside of my knuckle, okay? And I see this ruffle in the neckline. Here's this like, well, yeah, this kind of ruffle thing. So perhaps this whole sleeve becomes ruffled in like that. So we can baste it to be that length coming from the edge of the ruffle, because it's almost like that ruffle is extending all the way to here. Wow, having this long area to gather into makes me want to kind of like mark the line, mark along a line to gather, so it's so it's going a clear direction. And then after I make this gathering stitch all the way through, going in and out, in and out, in and out, and we can measure along to see how much we're gathering to, and measure it back to be what it was. It was like started here, going down to here, so and kind of, I'm not making a knot, I'm just kind of doing a few stitches to hold it in place, and then we have our gather here, and we can kind of even it out. Right, okay. So we have okay. So now we're following this blue material that was in the back, and we're following it all the way around as it like tucks in the back, and we're going to be twice turning this to finish it off as well. And so I just want to also even out these seams. And yeah, since it's continuing to meet this twice turn hem that's already here, see, I started cutting it off, but then I realized there was a twice turn hem that it was coming to meet, and so now I just want to undo this other twice turn, maybe to like here, because the shape is kind of like curving up, and so maybe I'll take it out from here to here so that it can meet. So that I'll iron it out, and then I'll like make the curve so that it's even, so that I can return it, and it'll be like a continuous line, a continuous stream of water. Continuous stream of water, inside and outside, within and beyond. The reflection of something that is cliche, yet what words we use to center ourselves, and what does it mean to center ourselves within our own awareness. Within our body, feeling throughout my body, speaking from my heart, speaking from the mind, the process meets an ending. And then over here I see that I was planning to join these two seams, and And so perhaps I'll just tuck this other, like they're going to be joined like this, right? So there's space like this, right? And like this. And there's already a twice turn hem here, and the edge of this material is raw. And so if I unpick this seam, perhaps, because it continues here, and it's all going to be showing on the outside, and I was planning on doing some sort of flat fill seam on the outside with this one, so that it's like sewn on the outside like this, and then I just am going to press it down and stitch it across. But here, maybe I'll do a similar thing, only like maybe we can still do a flat fill seam. That's what I'm saying, I guess. But first I need to finish off this seam. But also to do that, maybe I'll just cut this part off. Maybe I will, and maybe I won't be able to go back. But that's okay, because you know, sometimes we just have to move ahead with what we see, even if we can't see everything, and we're just allow ourselves to be in the process. But then there are times, perhaps, when I do see some sort of order that's revealing itself to me, and then that's what I go with. And what I'm seeing here is that there's all these different layers coming together right here, and there's also a hole. And I'm like, maybe I should just taper in and go around that hole. And yeah, there's also just still all this extra material in here, and what is it? What is it trying to do something? Does it want to do something? Does it want to become the binding for the collar? How did I even get here? We were going there. Let's flip it all right side. Inside out, outside in, flipping it outside in, and recognizing that if I want to trim this, it's going to be something. Okay. There we trimmed that side, and now this side. Right. This side we have where we're tucked in. And so I think that the only real thing I like about plaid is that you can see the weave to cut along the grain. And now there's the inside. All that bulk that was just in the inside was like the old yoke. Old yoke. And I can unstitch this collar and release. And what's coming to mind now is this memory of like garments this idea that well-made garments can be worn inside out, and that's a sign of quality. And while I do love like finishing all the seams and these like meticulous details, I also think that like and also finishing seams like shows that the garment's going to last. Well, it's a sign of that. It also depends on material and of course like the life of the garment. And so yeah, there's a lot to question. And so even if seams aren't finished or anything, does that mean it's low quality, or does that just mean it's not going to last a very long time? And how can you finish raw with raw edges showing? Like, how many times? You're going to be able to wash it without it falling apart. Do you want it to fall apart? Maybe you do. Maybe you want it to turn into something else. But I guess it's just kind of, in no matter what you do or don't want, like, I guess here we're working with these materials to recognize them, to acknowledge them, to breathe another form into them. This piece had like the label on it, so cutting the label off. Will we reattach the label, or will we to the garment, or will we will it not? But in any case, I'm gonna pin it to our poem. And now might be a good time to reread the poem. Fruit is sun glow, pull through dreaded shoulder, relaxed shoulders, warmth, I am, egg escape shell, held by wonder, emerge through blackened backs, shadows turned, face to the sun, to the fruit, morning turns and swells, responsive and rising. And this part about face to the sun, to the fruit, that makes me feel like the sun is a reflection of the fruit, like face to the sun, to the fruit, fruit facing the sun, sun facing the fruit, and this like mirror of that. To me, that points to a mirror that I feel. Okay, so I'm also remembering now that I have we have all these different buttons inside of here from the shirts, and what's gonna happen? What's gonna happen? There's a lot that can happen, right? Oh, right, we were up here. That's what happened. We're up here and we're thinking about making a flat fell seam, and we're thinking about unpicking this part of the hem because we just love unpicking so much and we want to just unpick. But we love unpicking as much as we will bring us to the next point. So if we do all this unpicking, it almost like the unpicking comes in waves, and this material has symbolically represented the wave. So hear from the heart. Let us hear from the heart. Let us be here from the heart. Let us speak from the heart in this space of our dreams, in the space where it rains, in the space where all the seasons pass. Is that new space? Or do the seasons generate new space? How do the seasons generate their new space? And what direction are we pointing? Are we existing with our directions? Engaging in parts where we heard. Do we hear ourselves? Do we hear each other? What do we hear when we're not listening? Do we hear that we were preoccupied? Do we hear that we need to take space? If we can't be present with each other, then why are we sharing space? Or maybe we're not. If we're not, is it possible to even share space when we're not present? Which space are you in? Are they like these overlapping realities? Okay. All right, I think that now we can move over to the sewing machine. Pushing the envelope. Who's pushing your envelope? I ask you. While I'm up, I'm going to get the ironing board out. So, where do we see ourselves? And what do we see? How do we see our present? I need to close up this seam before I do any twice turning. I wonder, like, what happens if there's a way to show what we're doing from another angle. It's like back view, because then I can strap the camera up here. All right. Should I try to like angle this better? No, not gonna work. Okay. Okay, what about this? Okay, so there with this, you can see like the back of what I'm doing. There's that. Okay. Uh-oh. Okay, well, we'll see how this goes. All right, the needle was down and we were making this seam, but I felt like you couldn't really see what I was doing, but here we go. And now we didn't back tack because we're overlapping stitches. Well, we're not sure what's even going to be happening here, but and with this blue material, it might actually like hold a press better, so it might be good to actually press this before we stitch it, but maybe that's not necessary. But maybe it is. Yeah. Here we have kind of a bulky area to go over, and just be careful not to break a needle. And then as we come up over here as well, there's this other seam we're wrapping around. Until we become our own seam. We're just hugging each other until we're lifted into our own place. Wow, that was quite beautiful. Thank you. Thank you for going on the journey with me. How can you see? Okay, now sometimes, well, usually if I'm doing a seam that feels pretty complicated, I will just kind of put everything where I want it to end up and look at it. Like for here, I want these two seams to come together, but then I also wanted to do the French seam or the flat fell seam. So if I want it to end up looking like this, I'll hold it in place and then I can like put my hand in side and flip it around to see how am I gonna sew it together. So maybe to show it better, I can lift the camera up for a moment. So we want these seams to go together, and so I'm gonna place this inside of here, knowing where it's going to be caught. It's going to be stuck in here like that. And so if I hold it like that and flip this around, and then I can see which kind of raw edges I need to stitch together and where to begin. And that's where I begin. And then things go where they need to go, and they line up where they need to line up. For the most part. Sometimes things can get tricky, but sometimes we need to maybe just place ourselves where we want to be, imagining us there, holding ourselves in that space, and then orienting everything else around that. And when I say where we want ourselves to be, like, that's also like where we want ourselves to be in relationship with other people as well. And I'm laughing to myself now because I'm like, well, how do I know if I'm doing good at relationships? Or how do I know if I have relationships? And it just occurred to me that, like, if I feel love in my heart for the people in my life, whether or not we agree or see things differently. I mean, it's probably better if we have different perspectives, because then we know we're being real with each other. I mean, of course, some things we might agree on. Well, sometimes that happens, but like, okay, I'm thinking like, is it me knowing that I feel the love in my heart for people? Because that's all I can really control is myself, right? I can't control if anybody else likes me or not. And if somebody doesn't like me, maybe that's their problem. Or maybe it's not even about liking each other. Maybe it's just about like acknowledging each other's existence and acknowledging like our interconnectivity, and then maybe we can begin to like, I don't know, I find that when I'm working with other people, that's a form of interconnectivity. If we're working on something together, and once we start collaborating, it becomes something much more than just me and what I'm doing. That's kind of how I see these garments, as my collaborators, because they're guiding the process with their own existence, how they've already been formed. So how can I work with that and appreciate what's already there? Alrighty. There's one part of the stitch. Oh, I never really turned the camera back after I moved it, but maybe that's okay. Is this holding you in place? Okay. What else? What else do we need to stitch? This gathering stitch. I'm going to need to put something on the inside to stabilize this. It seems. Like maybe just a little rectangle that's the length of the gather. Just something on the inside to really support what's happening. Just so from my scraps I'm cutting a little rectangle that I don't know if that's big enough actually. Maybe. Okay, but we don't have to do that now. Because we have a lot of other things to do, and so we'll just put that over on the ironing board so that when we get to the ironing board, we know we have to do that. So coming up to one of those twice turns we mentioned. Twice turning. When I turn around, turning twice around. When I turn twice around, do I reach the same place? Well, maybe it depends on how big the turn was. Did you take your turn? Did you take your turn? Or did you hold the space? What space did you hold when you took your turn? How much space is yours? And how much space is mine? And how much overlaps through the absence of time? Oh, I turn, turn, turn twice around. Oh, I turn, turn, turn twice around. Reach a curve. What happens when I reach a curve? When I reach a curve, we meet each other around the curve. I meet the curve, I meet the curve. I meet the curve and we turn around. Turn the curve when I turn around the curve, around. When I turn around the curve, around and spin around the curve. When I turn around the curve, we spin around. When I turn around the curve, twisting in the curve, bubbles up. The curve, it bubbles up as we turn around. Let's ease the curve, let's ease the curve. Let's ease as we do turn around. Let's ease as we do turn around. Ease as we do turn around. Oh, that's all right, that's all right. We ease around the curve around. We ease around the curve around. But what happens when we ease around? What happens when we reach what we found? What happens when we reach our crown? Turn around, turn around, turn around to reach the crown. And all the crown, and all the crown. Lift up our ease, lift up our ease. Twice turn, Twice turnips, twice turnips. Oh, we never made that gathering stitch. The meshing of my dreams I found. The meshing of my dreams. What does it mean to live a dream? Was it something that I dreamt all alone? Did I dream this up all alone? Did I find it in the ether with every one of my experiences? Every one that I experience. Oh, 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 oh. Which one do you believe? 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 Was it the first turn or the second? And the second now, is it finished? Turning back around, is it finished? What makes a finish finish? How many turns? To go around. How many turns? Around this bias curve. The curve's bias. The bias that stretches around the curve. How do these meanings become reflected in each other's emotions? How does the bias become reflected in its innate essence? Easing round the bias, easing round the other side of the curve, easing round, easing round the other side of my memory, easing round my memory. The sounds that bend, that sounds that warp and play, the sounds that bend, the sounds that warp and play, these sounds that bend your questions. What is your question leading to? What is your question leading to? Ooh, 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 ooh. Ooh, 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 ooh. Wow, this fold. This fold, so beautiful. I don't know if you saw me turn that hem in, but got to this point. We just have come to a point in our lives where we unclip from the bobbin and the thread and we look back on all that we've been through. Okay. And we just appreciate these moments. Appreciating the moments of our hems, of our lives. Can we pin this guy on? Oh, well, we can stitch this hem back up. That's right where we just came from. Looks like we unpicked it for one reason or another. And it's going back together. It's going right back where it was, only with a white thread instead of a blue thread. Only stitched in time where we are now. And that is where we are. And yeah. Coming together with each step in time, each stitch in time. Back, up, clip. Back, up, clip. Ooh, wee, wee, woo. Ooh, wee, woo. Ooh, wee, wee, woo. Ooh, wee, wee, woo. Yeah, we have this whole sleeve. This whole sleeve to think about. How this has come together. See that perhaps we can think about rounding off some of these pointed areas. Don't, no, 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 no. Ooh, 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 ooh. And I'm not really sure what's going to happen here. In this part, this was like kind of a wrist opening, and we were thinking of what it might be, and and how it might be, and like how wide to make it. I think this is where I'm going to need to cut some bias to make an opening, and we have that yoke that we just cut out, all that bulky yoke, so that'll be enough to do that. And yeah, I mean, that's all we needed to do. Oh yeah, we also need to make some binding for the neckline as well. Oh right, we have this seam. Okay, I thought we might have some more than that. To stitch around. All right, and we open that up. So we're just gonna do a very short French seam here. Enough to make a little sleeve cap. Because it's like pleated around all this area, and my thought is that we do a French seam and then we come around to do the hem. Stitching round what we found. What did you find? To stitch around. What did you find? To stitch around. What did you find? To stitch around, to stitch around, to stitch around. What you found? To stitch around. All that you found. And back around to the other side. Back around to the other side. Okay. Okay, so I think it's time to go back over to the iron. Letting the iron heat up a bit. Something we can start to do is think about the bias we're going to make with this yoke. And, well, how much bias do we need? This is where a ruler might come in, or a string. We could always just use a piece of string to follow along the seam line and see how long we need to kind of trace out what we need, and then copy that length onto something else. $11 times 2 is 22 for the neckline, and then how much for a wrist? Like 10, 9 or 10 inches. I know, I said it. I said inches. Whatever works for you. And if it doesn't, then don't do that. I'm just gonna stitch this piece along this line. This is the piece that's gonna stabilize the shoulder, and I just want to stitch it and then flip it and then press it. Because I was just thinking that will probably make it more stable. It'll make it more stronger, and it might make it easier to sew as well. So then to flip it, we are going to put our safety pin in, point it downwards, and just kind of wiggle this through. Wiggle, flip it. Wiggle and flip. Yep. And now we can press it. And then also press in the, where's my scissors? Pressed in the seam allowance. I'm just gonna tuck it inside because that's just what I'm doing. We could just press it to one side. That's another way. Could also just tuck it in on itself. Alright, so now we have this strip that we can then attach to the inside of the shoulder. And now I'm going to make some bias. To do this, we can just line up one of the plaids with like a diagonal of the square. And I'm going to do just 1 inch wide strips. And then we can like join them all together and have a longer strip. And so we said 10 inches and then 22 inches. So we can kind of estimate like how much we're going to get out of one piece, and then see, is that enough or should we cut more? So that's about 32 that we need. So just measuring from the smallest edge, I'm going 4, 9, 17, plus 10, that's 27, plus 7, that's 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, plus 5, that's 39, so this will probably be enough. I mean, we'll probably have more than that. I was estimating on like the smaller side. go over onto the sewing machine pile to stitch. And now we have all of our seams to press. Okay. Our seams to press, our seams to press. We'll press the seams we stitched today. Okay. This one here, we have, this is the flat fell. I think I'm gonna stitch it first, or press it first, not from the inside, but from the outside. All right, and then we're gonna, it's gonna wrap around and we're gonna fold. I guess it's not quite a flat fell seam. It's more like doing a twice turn hem on the outside as a joining stitch. Okay, what else? What else can I press that I can show you? I know that was kind of a lot of material in front of the camera before, so if you want to see what I'm doing here. Na, 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 na. Okay, and this next one, ooh, we have a lot more to press. Okay. this area. These are those leg phalanges that are draping down, out, around the leg. And we're going around all these different turns and the bias, the turns of this cuts that our scissors made. Pressing out these turns, pressing out the folds. Okay. And then we'll be joined here. Oh, right. That was the thing that I could have stitched, was that that placket on the bottom that was like partially unstitched. We can put that placket back on. We can stitch this other placket back together. We can now like turn under. I had this collar. Now that we've done the twice turn, the collar is like sticking out. So how can we line it up? The collar here, this collar, this blue collar sticking out, how can we line it up so that it's flush with these two lines? We're going to unstitch it a little ways until there's enough space for us to flip it inward towards itself. How would you like to have some space to flip inward towards yourself, especially near our legs, near what supports us as we stand, and everything connected to that? And then the ground that supports our legs. That's really something. It's really something I got, that I'm to be on this earth. All right. Now this collar stand, flipping in on itself. Maybe even flipping around that hem, hugging the hem. Maybe I'll pin it. Should I pin it, or should I just like finger press it, or pin it to the board just to like hold it in place while I wrap around the hem? Okay, now I'm gonna hold the collar in place because I think it's a little bit wonky. Wow. Now we've done one side, and now we need to flip the other side. Okay, there's one point. All right, we're getting there, we're getting there. We have these glass head pins, so when we press over it, it's fine. It doesn't melt the plastic. And so here we have all those things kind of like pressed in place, and so the next thing to do would be to top stitch everything and just be really careful not to move it. But we've reached the end of our time together today, and so we just want to thank you for being here with us. Thank all of the elements, thank all of our ancestors and guides that have been here along the journey with us. And so we'd like to thank them and release them. And we'll see you next time.